Well, hello, welcome to the new video. And today we have a very special car here because this is the only sport Peugeot of current day that we have is the Peugeot 508 PSE. This is the Touring SV model. And well, let's have a close look at this car because this is no ordinary Peugeot. This is the Peugeot Sport model. So yeah, let's have a look. So in terms of aerodynamics, we have a drag coefficient of 0.28 in this Combi variant. In this SV variant, the sedan has still 0.26, which are pretty good levels of aerodynamics. We also have loads of these aerodynamic elements here on the seals and in the rear that lead the air around the wheels, and yeah, they just clean the airflow around, and they make the vortices because we are running the massive toe-in at the rear, so they clean up the air around the car. Anyway, this is the after facelift model, so we have new lights, slightly shorter. We have 3 close instead of 1 long that was there before. The design of the car is, as you would expect, mesmerizing. I mean, the French, oh my god, they can do the design extremely well. The novelty is that you have the Peugeot Sport logo here in the front, which now as I look at it looks slightly like a very old Fiat logo. So yeah, let's have a closer look at the wheels, and maybe I will tell you also about the suspension here. So let's start with the wheels. So we have 20-inch wheels. We have Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires with the tire size of 245, 35, ZR20. So really good tires on this car. Also an improvement is that we have 380mm front brake discs with 4-piston calipers here at the front, so really good stopping power for the car. And if I look at the suspension, there is not a big amount of caster, but the car is very nicely weight balanced, so it doesn't actually need it. Otherwise, to the suspension, so we have adaptive damping with 3 modes. There is comfort, hybrid, which is something in between, and the sport, in which the car feels slightly like a hot hatch. Really, it's really nicely stiff. And we also have a lower ride height, which I couldn't find how much lower it is, but I suspect 15mm. And we also have wider track. So there is wider track of the front wheels, that is plus 24mm to the normal 508, and plus 12mm wider track at the rear. Now in terms of wheel geometry, this is also quite special. So we have bigger negative camber here at the rear, but compared to the normal 508, which has a toe out, this car has a massive toe in, and still the wheel is slightly out from the damper, and that's why you have this aerodynamic element here, which creates vortices and leads the flow around the tire. So that is very nice, and also another aerodynamic element here which smoothens the airflow. So I really do love actually this job they did with the aerodynamics with the car. In the rear, again, very beautiful design, dark lights, Peugeot badging. And let's have a look into the boot, which has 530 liters in the standard capacity. And if you fold down the seats, it's 1780 liters. And it's nice. It's actually nice, a practical boot with good opening, wide opening, very easy access. Some straps here. The straps thing onto you have a focal stereo subwoofer here, which is nice, and also this small area under the boot floor. Nice quality carpeting. I really do like the boot. I mean, I'm not the sort of person that would need the biggest boot possible, and I think this boot already is very practical. All right, and let's also have a look at how it is to sit in the rear of this car. So, and another very nice special thing about the car, frameless doors, really nice element. And let's see. So, as you can see, this is a decent amount of legroom in the rear, just enough for a tall person to sit in. Also for the head, even though it doesn't look like, thanks to the sloping roof line. And then you have air ventilation for the air conditioning, 2 USB-A connectors at the rear, foldable armrest with cup holders. So yeah, very decent practicality and comfort for the rear passengers as well. And now I think the last thing we need to talk about is the powertrain, is the engine. So let's have a look at that. And also the Peugeot Sport badge here on the side. All right, so here is the engine. And so as this is the plug-in hybrid powertrain, let's talk it through. So we have this 1.6 liter PureTech engine producing 200 horsepower. On top of that, we have two electric motors. One is here at the front that has 110 horsepower, and the one at the rear has 112 horsepower. We have a all-wheel drive, but it seems that in the drive settings you can manage that, because there is a mode all-wheel drive as a standalone mode. And in terms of hybrid powertrain, well, we have a 12.4 kilowatt hour battery with 102 kilowatts of power for regenerative braking, and you can charge this battery with the AC connector on this side with standard power of 3.7 kilowatts, or the optional, as it is here, 7.4 kilowatts, in which case you charge it in 1 hour and 40 minutes. And in terms of battery management, this is the fact that actually was very interesting for me. So the battery management on this car is derived from Le Mans 9X8 WEC race car. So yeah, it's actually that's very interesting, and it actually feels it's working in a sort of a very different way. Also, if you have the car in the sports mode, it seems like it's actually charging the battery with driving. So very interesting. The powertrain as a whole, very interesting. And well, we'll get to talk more about it when we take the car further down the road and drive it. So let's do it. All right, so we are now at the favorite bit of road. So let's test this Peugeot out. We just need to get and overtake this one car. Let's go. 360 horsepower, adaptive damping in sports mode, and this car can really pull in this hybrid sports mode. When you have juice, even when you don't, this car really flies. Look at this, and it is just so stiff. You feel like if you were in a hot hatch. That is fantastic. The feedback from the road is really great. Hang on here. All right, you can carry on. You have 8-speed gearbox, stable mounted gear shift pedals. Maybe they are the only thing that I would improve on this car, is their response sometime on the downshift. Could be more lively, could be sharper, yeah. But otherwise, I mean, the driving experience is fantastic. Of course, I'm not pushing it absolutely. As you can see, there is also some traffic, but this is really great. I mean, in these long corners, the car is very stable. Oh, we have to watch out for the cyclists as well. And now on the brake, here comes the four piston brake calipers, slowing down 1976 kilos. You do feel a little bit of understeer because of that massive weight, but what is also very nice is that thanks to the wider track, but actually it's less wide. It's 1.2 centimeters less wide in the rear, and we have a massive toe-in. The car is very glad to rotate when it needs to. It's just yeah, it's just great because it rotates into the corner when you need it. So that is fantastic. And if I really wanted, I could do some lift of oversteer. I could make it oversteer very easily, and that is another lovely thing about it. So really, the great thing about this car is that, you know, if you bought the BMW 330e, which has 60 horsepower less, or maybe almost 70, in this car, they are made for being stable at high speeds. But Peugeot engineers, they made this sports version. They set it up in such a way that it's actually fun to drive, engaging to drive, that it makes you control the car. So yeah, I can't stand this guy. And this 1.6 engine is nice, and although although you don't hear it that much. Maybe that's also the thing that I'm missing, is the sort of a huge amount of noise, which you can do through the speakers, which I now have turned off because I don't like this artificial noise. But the brakes are so sharp, man. This is unlike any other brake pedal of Peugeot cars. You know, they are usually very soft, but this is great. This is stiff. You get great amount of information through it. It is absolute, what a driving experience, this car, honestly. And the steering just nicely weighted, good amount of feedback through it, very precise. I love it. Look at this, what a sharp turn-in. And even though what I usually say about the 508, that the conception is not absolutely right because the driver is sitting slightly closer to the front wheels than some of the premium cars or the simply more driver-focused cars, I don't mind it here because it really feels like in a hot hatch now. This is, and you know, this should be a sedan, but it really feels just like sitting in a hot hatch, you know. And how special it is that, you know, nowadays we don't have many sporty Peugeot, but with this car, I mean, you definitely get a great sporty Peugeot as you hope to get. And yeah, the engineers did a massively great job. I really do love that. So now we have some Audi in front of me. Let's try and overtake the guy. Look at the brakes, this is great. And they are not fading, really nice. Sharp turning, the rear is following nicely, but if you turn in too aggressively, then it steps out. It really steps out, and that's very fun and engaging. Look at this, look at the amount of grip we are having. This is fantastic fun. What a great car. And we have a massive amount of grip thanks to the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's. This is a good experience. Wow. Maybe the only thing that needs to be changed is to give it a little bit more noise, maybe different exhaust, these sharper steering pedals of the gearbox, so that it would be really sharp. Like I remember from the Megane RS, that was really sharp, and they were not made of plastic but of aluminium, and that was just automatic transmission, but the feeling from it was fantastic. If that would be here, I would be absolutely blown away. And I mean, we are living in a society, you know, we are not the biggest fans of these hybrid technologies, but the truth is, even with the hybrid technology and the disadvantage of the weight, it is possible to make an engaging car to drive. And this is one of them. They really made a great job in the chassis tuning. Lower the chassis, widen the track, give it wider track at the front than at the rear, and additionally give the car a massive tow-in. That is fantastic. And it just makes you want to drive, really. And you have all-wheel drive if you want to. You can also have a front-wheel drive from this car. So wow. You know, it was a car I didn't really expect to like as much as I do, because I was like, plug-in hybrid, yeah, 360 horsepower, but man, this is good. This is really good. Look in this. Wow, what an experience. let's carry on, let's carry on, let's carry on. Look at this second apex corner, and it just rotates with me nicely, the rear of the car into the corner, so I can really lean on into it. Wow, this is just, I mean, guys, the driving experience with this car, I have to say, this is an underrated car, this Peugeot. If you really spend those 75,000 or 70,000, I think you will be very happy with what they've done with this car. This level of engagement, this is fantastic. Wow. Alright, it's time to cool down the car, the engine, the brakes, the turbo, and let's go through the likes and dislikes of the car. So, in between the dislikes, so there are a few things I would love that the car, if it were improved, it would be a perfect driving experience. So the first of all is these gearbox pedals on the steering wheel. I wish their response would be more sharper, both on upshift but more on downshift. So that's the one thing I would want. And well, I can't really now remember what was the second one. But anyway, let's go to the likes of the car, because this car is mostly about the likes. Oh yeah, I remember. So I think, of course, it's going to be contrary to what many of you will feel in terms of design, but really smaller wheels, they would just make more sense with this car. I know these wheels, they look fantastic, these 20-inch wheels, but the smaller wheels would improve the handling and performance and everyday usability with the car. And now let's come to the likes, because there are massive likes. So I absolutely love the job they've done with the suspension of the car. So lowering it, giving it wider track, but actually narrower at the rear. Then adding to that with the massive toe-in that they gave the car compared to the standard 508. This makes the car absolutely engaging to drive. It really does feel, as I've said in the driving part, like a hot hatch. You can get the car into oversteer very easily. It's sort of slightly vicious, which maybe if you're a driver like some of the BMW drivers that you just want to race someone through the corners and get away, you're not gonna like. But if you really like the enjoyment of the driving and the challenge of the driving, and you want to challenge yourself, this is the car to be in. It's such an engaging car, such a fun car to drive. They've absolutely did an absolutely brilliant job with the suspension. Also the damping in the sports mode, really stiff, really nice. I do love that as well. And then there is the powertrain, the typical 1.6 PureTech, 200 horsepower, plus those two electric motors. It works really quite well together. At times there is very slight delay, but nothing really big. It's something that's very usual with the plug-in hybrids, also in the BMW 330e. So yeah, as a package, it just works fantastically. The battery management from the 9X8 works flawlessly here. It makes you have the power for longer because you are recharging the battery more, not only with the braking. The brake pedal, contrary to what it feels in most Peugeot cars, here very stiff, very sporty, great amount of feedback, fantastic. And then you have a four-wheel drive, which many people that are buying this sort of a segment of the car, they like in a sporty car to have an all-wheel drive. That's why they buy Audis and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it felt fun. I have to tell you, it felt fantastic. I was also driving on a wet road and pushing the car, and the grip it was giving the car on this road was really blowing me away. I mean, it was really great, the amount of grip I had out of the corners and stuff. And then thanks to the chassis, the suspension, it was so much fun to drive, because I was just counter steering all the time on the entry. It was great. And so that leads me to the final thought of the car, you know, because it costs 70 well, over 70,000 euros. And for many people, it is, the thought process is, well, more than 70,000 euros for a Peugeot. Are you crazy? Well, you're not crazy, because this car is really so good that it is worth those 70,000 euros. I think really it can be a competitor to the Audis, to the BMWs. It has a plug-in hybrid powertrain. It has both the advantages and disadvantages it brings, but in terms of performance, it does its job. Oh my god. And in terms of engagement, even more. It is just a lovely car to drive. I only wish it had more sound, better sound, and these gear shift paddles that would be sharper. That's all I wish with this car. Otherwise, I absolutely love it. I love the design. It's a much better design than even the German premium cars, the BMW, the Audi. The design is absolutely fantastic. Also here in the interior, it doesn't feel cheap. It feels premium, really, I have to say. So, well, let's just sum it up. Brilliant car. I really don't mind. It's a plug-in hybrid, and you shouldn't too. It's a fantastic, engaging car to drive. And if you're after a daily car that can be engaging and fun to drive, definitely go at least for a test drive in this car, and consider after the drive if it's worth those 70,000 euros. So yeah, great, amazing car. I'm really happy that I got the chance to drive this car. Well, and if you like the video, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos are of course coming on very soon, and I hope to see you in the very next video. In the meantime, take care and goodbye.